In this devlog, we'll be continuing our Bittrex trading bot written in Ruby by implementing the sell function. So in Bittrex, you can sell your coins using the API endpoint market sell, which requires, of course, to pass the market string the quantity or the amount of coins for the market coin you'd like to sell, and the rate at which you would sell that particular coin. Now, complement to the market sell endpoint, we have to implement this thing called the order book. Okay, so the order book will fetch the possible orders. Okay, the possible orders for both a buy and a sell order for a specific market coin. So let's say I'm trying to buy LTC. This one will show the buy orders and the sell orders for that particular coin. If you look at the site actually shows you those coins. Wait, hang on. Right? Suppose we go to the Bitcoin market for the BTC market for Monero, meaning you'll use Bitcoin to buy XMR. Where's that? Right. So in the landing page of the BTC XMR market, you'll see two tables down here on the order books part. The bids will refer to how much people are willing to buy Monero, and the asks will refer to how much you would be able to buy certain Monero from those people selling this particular coin. So what I'll do here is we'll try to prove that the bot actually makes some profits by first buying some Monero. So I have here my BTC available, 0.05. It's not that much. And I'm going to go ahead and buy 0.05 Monero units, and I'm gonna go here in the asks table and ideally choose the order with the lowest asking price, because of course I want to buy XMR for a cheap price, for the cheapest price I can. We can actually use the API to fetch those values, but for now I'm going to do it manually, meaning I'm going to buy 0.05 worth of XMR by manually clicking on these prices. So maybe this might be the cheapest point. Oh no, this one, I think. This one, right? So if you notice, once you click that, it will automatically fill in the bid price and the total BTC that you have to spend for against this Monero. Okay, so let's go ahead and before buying the Monero, let's just leave a mental note that currently my BTC is valued at $374. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and buy this Monero. Okay, so hopefully we can get this number up once we're done. Okay, so I'll confirm this order. So I'm buying 0.05 Monero at 0.0188 BTC for a total of 0.009425. Of course, the exchange will have some commission. Okay, and then once that buy is filled, then essentially we have 0.05 worth of Monero coin. So that's how you essentially buy using Bittrex, using the actual site. If I go ahead and refresh this balance, all right, so of course the market's so volatile at every given moment, so my price will probably change. But if you notice, I now have a total of 0.05 Monero for my current account, right? And this is what these values can, or rather the transaction that we just performed, can be reviewed via the orders tab. Okay, let me just zoom out here a bit. All right, so I made this latest order, which is a limit buy for Monero. I have here the actual rate, right? So this is the rate at which I actually bought that 0.05 worth of Monero, meaning one Monero coin would cost 0.01879 during that time of purchase. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that value And ideally, we're going to paste it in our config file for the last sell variable, right? So again, this last sell variable dictates how much a person sold me a coin, in this case XMR, right? I added also another parameter here called market quantity, right? So market quantity will be the amount of coin you'd like to sell when the bot performs a sell function. So I have it right here, 0.05, and we can reference that by saying market quantity in our program or in our bot, and say config market quantity. Now, of course, this one should be in the actual config.json file, so I won't be showing it here. So instead, we're gonna hard code this value, right? But of course, if you were to implement it in production, in your own production, then you would get the value from the config object, from the parsed file, of course. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and this should be 0.05. Same goes for the last cell, right? Actually, let me just comment that out instead of removing the value entirely. So I'll have the market quantity is equal to the hard-coded 0.05, and for the last cell, right, I'll hard-code it as well to the value when I actually bought that coin, that 0.05 worth of Monero coin. Yeah, remember, this one is for this one costs. This is the amount in BTC, or the base coin that that we use to buy a Monero coin, right, XMR coin, right? So I have those values hard coded there, and the first thing we'll do is we'll go to this part of the code, right? If you remember, if the net diff is greater than the target, right? Our target again is from our config. So let's go ahead and hard code this. We can play around with the values. So let's say that my target is 1%, meaning if the market increases by 1% based on the value I actually bought the coin, then I'll go ahead and sell that market quantity worth of coin using a rate that we get from the order books. Okay, hopefully that will make sense later on. So, okay, so this one happens here from the previous devlog, wherein if the net diff is greater than or equal to the target, then we perform sell now. But even before we actually perform the sell now, what we should do is we should implement the order books, right? So I actually have another parameter here, okay, in my endpoints called orderbook, right, which is public get order book, okay. So, which expects to return this particular object. Now, optionally, we can pass the type parameter to specify either a sell or a buy. Okay. So in this case, we're just concerned with the sell, which actually just returns, wherein the result will just return an array of these objects of quantity and rate. Okay. So these are the ideal quantities and rates that people are selling this particular coin, or rather, these are the ideal values for. Okay, let me just make sure that I get that correctly. If it's sell, I believe that's the value that people are willing to sell or to buy. Yeah, that's a value that the people are willing to buy. Actually, I'm confused. Let's go ahead and read the documentation again. Actually, the documentation is quite vague for this. I'm not sure if the buy keyword might refer to how much people are willing to buy, I guess, right? To buy this particular coin, right? Yeah, I think so. I think we should use the buy. Right. Okay, we'll go ahead and use the buy. I might be mistaken, but it still follows the same structure, so I'll go ahead with buy. I'll assume that the buy array will will show the orders that people are willing meaning people are willing to buy this particular coin at this rate. Okay, so we want the greatest deal from this rate. Right, so we'll go ahead and try that out. So order book URL. Okay, we're gonna reference it here at this part of the script. So I'll say URL order book is equal to the similar to how we built our first URL. So that would be config base URL. Okay, and then don't forget to pass the API version, config API version, and then we pass in the endpoint. So config endpoints, and then we say I already have it in my original config file. We'll say order book. Okay, and then we need the parameters market, which we already have, and the type. Right, if you actually specify a type here, then instead of both, right, the only possible values is sell, buy, or both. If you actually specify just sell, it will just show the sell array for the result. If you specify the buy, it will just show the buy array as the result. Okay, so we don't need to embed the parameters in the URL because we're not encrypting it. So we can just go ahead and perform this type of get request. Okay, so we'll say we'll tell HTTP party to query against the URL order book. Of course, we pass the parameter market to it, plus we pass the type. Okay, I'll say the type will be a buy. Right, so how much people are willing to spend at this rate? Okay, and then how much do they actually have, if I'm not mistaken? Okay, I may be mistaken, but this is all a learning process anyway. All right, so hopefully you get it correct. Otherwise, I lose money. All right, so once we have that, I'm gonna do some checking here. Okay, I'm gonna get this key value here. If success, or rather if response success is equal to true, okay, meaning we actually have a valid response, then put the fork there. Well, if it's not true, we'll say something like something went wrong when querying order book. Okay, then we'll dump the entire response and see what's actually happening. Okay, there's a lot of improvement for this one, but this will work for now. However, if the response is success, we'll say that the result is equal to response result. Right? Since we specify the buy here for the type, then it means the result will be an array of all the buy values. Right? Now, what if this is an array, then it means that I can loop against it. So I'll say result.each do record or order book record. Okay, so really verbose, right? And then I will go ahead and print out the order books, right? Order book records, which is this object which has a quantity and a rate. So the way I'd like to sort this is, remember, we want to get the best or the highest rate possible. Okay, so I'll have here a variable called temp quantity. I'll set it first to 0, and a temp rate, and I'll set it to 0 as well. Now the idea here is that if the order book record, which is this object, if the order book records quantity, or rather rate rather, right? If the order book's record rate is greater than, because we want the greater than, or well, actually just greater than the temp rate. If the order book record is greater than the temp rate, then we set temp rate to be that rate. I'll say order book record rate. Else, well, actually, you don't do anything, right? So just end it right there, and of course, I'll set the quantity. I think the quantity refers to how many coins are available at this particular rate, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I could lose money with this one. Okay, order book record quantity, right? Right, and hopefully by the end of this loop, we'll get the temp quantity and temp rate. So we'll say if temp quantity, or rather temp rate, is greater than 0, meaning we actually found a rate, right, that's suitable for our, that has a higher rate than what we initially bought, because net diff is greater than target. We essentially print it out, right? So, well, we have to have another condition here. Aside from the rate, we have to also check, and temp quantity, it has to have enough quantity for us to actually be able to sell. I don't think that will matter, but anyway, I like to check the temp quantity against the quantity, the market quantity, okay, which we have right here. The market quantity. Right? I don't think this line will matter, the second condition, because it's a sell, right? So essentially, people will get more, I guess. But it's a useful parameter, and maybe we might be able to use this later on. So if the temp rate is greater than 0 and the temp quantity is greater than the market quantity, we'll perform that buy, or rather that sell operation, right? But before that, let's try to test this out first. We might actually lose money here, and we'll say that found, or rather the best deal will be a rate of temp rate, and the quantity will be temp quantity, right? Of course, we're not sure. We're not sure if this one will go through. So what I'll do is I'll always make it go through, right? So if true, it will always go to this section of the code. Try to perform a sell now. Query the order book. If the response is successful, it will go through all the results, get the best deal, and then display it for us. Okay, that's the first thing we'll try to test. Okay, let's just clear this, and let's try to run it. Ruby main.rb, cross our fingers and hope it works. All right, so the best deal here is 0.828 to 0994. Sorry, this one, right? Which is actually, I believe, lower than the last sell, right? So naturally, it had a negative 16 growth, so we're not quite there yet. We're not quite there yet. Okay, but we can find the best deal using that code. So I guess that code is working already here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it back to the original condition, that if the net diff is greater than the target, then we perform the sell. We sell all our Monero coin of 0.05 with the best deal that we actually found. Whew, okay. If this is the best deal, then we can perform the actual sell. All right. So this is where it gets a bit dangerous, I guess. So the endpoint that we'd like to look for will be the market sell limit, okay, which works, which is actually just a GET request. I was actually I was hoping it would be a post, but apparently the GET works for this one. So it requires you to supply the market parameter, which we already have, the quantity, how much of this coin would you like to sell, and at what rate. So we'll use a rate from the best deal. The quantity will be the market quantity, the amount of coin we actually bought initially, and the market. And don't forget that we have to pass the API key and then encrypt it, because we're actually accessing something sensitive, right? Make sure that your API key has enough privileges to actually perform a sell operation. So this one will look very similar to what we did with URL balance, right? we had to encrypt this URL and pass it as an API sign parameter in the header of our request, meaning we had to pass the API key, a no NCE parameter right there, which is just the integer version of the current time. So yeah, we'll use the same approach to perform that response, and if it's successful, then we display, and essentially we made a profit, a 1% increase from the profit. If it's not, then it will just continue waiting for the right time to actually sell. Right, so I go ahead and paste it here, and we'll modify this code a bit. So I'll call this URL cell limit, or just URL cell for short. Looking at the config, I have it as an endpoint here called cell. Right, so URL cell will be the base URL plus the API version plus the endpoint cell. I don't need the currency here, but I do need the no NCE. And I also need the market for this, right, because it's required in the documentation. Okay, which I already have established earlier in the code. Set market, right, market. Whew, okay, I'm actually quite nervous, and I hope I don't lose money. Alright, so URL cell will perform a cell using that API key, encrypt it, perform a response, and we'll go ahead and check if response, hopefully this works, result, I don't think it was result, success, right? If response success is equal to true, right? If response success is equal to true, then sold, let's say sold quantity. What's the name of my variable for quantity? Oh, we have to supply another parameter called quantity, right? Quantity, right? I'll put it somewhere here after market. And quantity is equal to market QTY. Okay, remember market QTY? Market QTY is the amount of coins that we'd actually like to sell for a certain rate that we try to look for when we fetch the order books, which is the same amount of coins we actually bought initially, the 0.05 Monero in this case. Okay, so that's the market quantity, and then we'll say sold market quantity of market coin at a rate of, and then temp rate, right? And then we'll say market coin is equal to 0, right? I guess we also have to check here, and market coin is greater than 0. Okay, so we make sure that we're actually selling something. So what we can do here is that after we sell, okay, so we try to sell that market coin. After we sold that coin, then we set it back to 0 so that it won't, because remember we're still in a loop, right? So it won't go here. Ideally, we can also exit the program after this point, because it would make no sense to try to sell 0. The Bittrex might return a response of insufficient funds or something like that. Okay, so we'll set our target to 1%. I'm actually feeling a bit lucky. Let's look at the market. Let's look at the market for Monero and see if it's actually trending upwards. I'm gonna refresh. Yeah, it's kind of going upwards. So, okay, I'm feeling a bit lucky. So I'm gonna go set it at 2%. If the market goes up 2% from my initial buy, then I'll go ahead and sell this market quantity. I forgot what my initial wallet was. Let me just check that real quickly. Okay, we're at 374.31, and hopefully after the sell we would gain more. Right, that's our target. Let's go ahead and print out this target actually. Okay, the code's getting a bit long, and this is really a candidate for refactoring, which I might save for another devlog video. Okay, so I'll try to run this. Let's hope it works. Please don't let me lose money. We're actually pretty close to the 1.0 net. So I might have to pause this video and see how long it will take for me to actually sell 0.05 worth of Monero. See that the balance is being fetched from Bittrex's servers, right? Because I have 0.05 XMR. Okay, so the time now is 10:28 p.m. Tuesday of November 14, 2017. It's a wild month for cryptocurrencies, and hopefully make a profit out of this. It's pretty close to the 1.0, so I just hope it would really reach that. Maybe I should stop the video first and wait until see how long it will take for this bot to actually sell Monero coins, right? Maybe I can actually leave it overnight. Hopefully it grows at 1%, or rather 2%. This is the one I set earlier. And then when I come back, hopefully I made a good deal. I made a good deal out of it, and hopefully my money goes up. It would have been so cool if this one actually reached 2% at the time of recording. However, I don't see that happening. It's the same value every time. Okay, we can see that the bid price is going lower, so probably the market's worsening. Right, the market's really bad right now. Oh god. It's gonna take a while. Right. So while waiting for that, let's just review our code, right? So we started off here. If the net diff is greater than or equal to the target, okay, the target will be a 2% increase from our initial purchase. If it's greater than or equal to that particular target, then we perform a sell now. And then we get the order book using this endpoint, pass in the market and type parameter. Remember, if you pass a buy or a sell, the result key, the result object, will actually be an array. If it's an array, then we can loop against that array, and then for each element of that array, we can get the rate and the quantity. Right? Once we get the rate and quantity, okay, we essentially check if the rate is greater than the temp rate, meaning we always want to get the highest rate because we want to sell it at a high price, right? If the rate is greater than the temp rate, then assign temp rate to be that current rate. After it goes through all the results, we can then check, or we can then start selling, right? If the temp rate is greater than 0, just so we don't accidentally sell our coin at 0, and the temp quantity is greater than the market quantity, then, and the market coin is greater than 0, oh no, this one should be market quantity. It will never go there. Okay, whew, that's close. Market was approaching 0. Okay, so let me just reset this. Okay, market quantity is greater than 0. Oh, that was a close call. All right, market quantity is greater than 0. Okay, just run that for good luck. Okay. Oh look, it's at 0.34%. So, woohoo. Alright, if the market quantity is greater than 0, then we essentially got the best deal. display it there, and then we perform a URL cell version, API version, endpoints cell, include the API key, the no NCE, right? No NCE, market, and the quantity, market quantity. We encrypt it, and then we perform oh no, this one shouldn't be balanced. This should be URL cell, right? Okay, so almost. Oh, this was really close. Not really, really close. Yeah. See the jumps. You wouldn't really know. This is like a span of 10 seconds, right? So you wouldn't really know if you're actually. I mean, the market changes so fast, and bots in this case are ideal to monitor the volatility of the market, right? Okay, so URL cell, pass in the API sign. If response is equal to success, then we essentially sold that coin and set the market coin to 0. Right? Of course, here we can perform a buy, and then I guess I'll reserve that for a later video, and hopefully my coin makes money. My bot rather makes money. Okay, so this will take a while. Yes, it will definitely take a while. So maybe I should include a timestamp together with my display. Where's my books? Right here. We'll put in a time that now. See how that plays out. Or maybe I should include it in the same. I actually have a lot of tabs here, so maybe I can. Let's see what happens if we just have single tabs. Okay, hopefully the display won't be as bad. Okay, so we can put our time component here, so we know the current time. Of course, this one will have a tab as well. All right, the market's worsening. All right, okay, that doesn't look so bad. Maybe I can format it a bit. Time.now .strf time. I forgot how to format the R. I think it's something like that. Was it capital H? I can't remember. Okay. Right. So we're just formatting the time for our display. Right. Let's try this again. I'm gonna use small letter B. Save up some space. Market's still really low. Well, there are a lot of things I haven't considered here yet, like what the current value of Bitcoin is at this particular point. Right. I don't think we need a time label. Again, to save up more space. Let's hope this works. Right, so the market's not moving that well as I'd hoped, right? So we'll do a force sell, right? We'll force the bot to sell it if it's greater than -2%. Right? So just to demonstrate, of course I'm gonna lose money from this, but it's my contribution to education, yes. All right, so if the target is greater than negative 2%, then perform a sell. I just want to test if the sell function actually works. I'm able to sell this at a particular rate, and who knows, maybe I would have gained. I'm not sure. All right, so let's see the bot make me lose money. All right, so now it's sold. Right, so it's sold with the best deal of 0.872601 quantity. Yeah, it had this quantity for that particular deal. Alright, so let's just prove that it actually made a sale. I'm gonna go ahead and go to this should be lower. Not so bad. I'm gonna go ahead and go, oh, why do I still have 0.05? My order not go through. Okay, so we actually went here, best deal, blah blah blah, and it said sold, right? It said sold. Oh no, it didn't say. Okay, so we actually have an error here because it didn't print out this text, so the response wasn't successful. So let's check out why. I'm just gonna dump the response. Let's say something like something went wrong. I'm still hopeful for this one, so just set it at 1% for the target. Okay, so I do have an error somewhere there. Let's try to. Oh, we won't be able to see that error unless we force it to sell, right? So negative 0.01. Alright, let's clear this. Rate not provided. Oh, okay. Right, so what happened here is that I didn't provide a rate. Where did I oh yeah, we forgot the rate. Okay, so the rate will be the best deal that we actually found from the best deal that we actually found from the set of order books. So we'll say, we'll pass it together with the URL. Okay, we'll say end rate is equal to temp rate, right? Which was from the best deal that we got from the order books. Right, and then let's go ahead and lose money again. So naturally, well, actually here in the wallet it said that, oh, not that one. In my wallet it said that the market actually gained. Right, gained. Well, I think this is the, yeah, in the last 24 hours. So compared, if I actually bought it yesterday, then it would have at this particular rate, right? At the rate I bought it. It would have grown 1.1% already, right? But of course, just to finish this video, then okay, we'll set it as at 1%. Of course, at the first moment, it will, because I think it's at negative 0.34%, so it's definitely greater than 1%. So it will try to perform a sell operation, and again, I will clearly lose money for this. Right, so sold 0.05x more at the rate of this one. My last sell was 0.79, so it was really way off. I actually lost negative 0.319% of profit. Alright, so going back to the wallet, if I refresh this, then yeah, I actually lost like a dollar or something like that. Right, but at least I know the sell function is actually working. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this. So now I have zero balance from my XMR and I lost $1. Alright, so that's it for this devlog, and I'm just gonna go ahead and since now that I know that the targets are working, then I can use my actual config file. Okay, not hard coding this anymore. And I'm gonna go ahead and buy and sell and try to see how long this bot will run until it will make me some money, right? All right, so that's it for this devlog, and in the next devlog probably I'll try to because you know these exchanges actually they already have a feature that allows you to set a certain threshold, which is what we're doing before I actually sell or even buy a particular coin. So I'd like to re-implement that that feature so that the software will be in par with the current exchanges, and then I will add more features to it, like probably add some technical analysis functionality. I've been doing a lot of neural networks lately, so for some research, so I'll hopefully try to apply that in terms of forecasting, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. But before that, I'm gonna go ahead and create a git ignore file. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and ignore config.json. Okay, so it won't get it won't transmit, or I won't push the code for when I put it up in GitHub. I won't include this particular file which contains the secret, right? Right, so I'm gonna go git init status. Okay, so these are the files that I'll be uploading to GitHub. I'm gonna go ahead and create a new project. Okay, new repository. I'm gonna call this rbot, short for Ruby Bittrex bot, or Ruby Bittrex trading bot. Okay, I'm gonna make it public, create that repository. Okay, say something like first commit, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add that as a remote origin and git push origin master. Right, so it now becomes an official project under my GitHub account. Oops. Right. Okay, there it is. So the I guess that's the first alpha version of this bot, and it's already usable for some manual selling of coins that you initially bought. Just don't forget to have your own config.json and set up the parameters there. Right, so that's it for this devlog, and should I kill the audio first? Kill the audio first.